Hello moms, welcome to Bella Vida for Autism Mothers. I am Belqui. I founded Bella Vida for Autism Mothers 6 years ago. And why? Because I have a son with autism. My son is going to be 11 in a month or so, super excited. And he is the reason why I decided that I wanted to help other mothers. Now, I was a working mom. I had another son about a year before my son was born, my son with autism. And I was, pretty happy, normal, mom with a baby that was growing up typically. I had issues getting pregnant, so I did do fertility treatments to become pregnant. Then I decided to quickly do it again so that I would have my children close together and not have to go through fertility treatments again. Second time around, unfortunately, I ended up in a pregnancy with multiples, 3 of which were in me for some time. 1 passed in utero, and then I had the 3, but only 2 living. At birth, I had my son Connor and my daughter Natalie. They were born at 27 weeks gestation, just at 27 weeks, so pretty early, and it was touch and go. Natalie unfortunately passed away 5 days after she was born from a brain bleed. It's very difficult to talk about, but I think it's important for me to share so that you understand where I'm coming from when I speak about my experiences. My son Connor remained in the NICU. He also actually had a brain bleed on the same day, but his was a grade 2 and hers was a grade 4. He remained in the NICU for about 11 weeks, almost 12, and then he came home, a preemie, really tiny. He was about 5 pounds when he came home, a little over 5 pounds. He was born at 2.9, and Natalie was born at 2. Unfortunately, he took a lot of the nutrition, and that's one of the reasons why she wasn't able to grow fully and to be able to handle having come out so prematurely. So when my son Connor was born, he had a lot of issues, a lot of colic, a lot of crying. You could really tell that something wasn't right, but of course he was premature, so these are things that are to be expected. Fast forward to when he was about 13 months old, I realized that something wasn't right. I already had a son who was just over a year older than him, and I could tell that there was a difference. At that moment, I began asking the pediatrician to please give me a diagnosis of autism because I could tell that he had autism. His eye contact was pretty bad, and it had been pretty good before, so something just shifted and changed, but I would say it didn't change overnight as I hear other parents say. It actually changed like in about a month span. He was waving and then he stopped waving and then he just seemed distant. It was a very strange change. So obviously going into the pediatrician, I brought up these concerns and they were basically rebuffed and, oh, well, he was 3 months premature and it is expected, blah, blah, blah. But in my heart, I knew something was wrong. Of course, moms, we have this intuition and I think we all know when something's not right. So I waited around 18 months. I went back to the doctor and I said, listen, it's a lot of change and this, and I'm seeing that he's doing this, that he's doing that he didn't do before. He's not really participating the way that he used to. Okay, well, he is premature and he is a boy. Boys are slower than the girls. And it was like a whole thing. And instead of giving me a diagnosis, they sent us for early intervention to kind of get I would say more like a teacher, someone who comes in and plays with them and, puts in things into jars and has them grab things and, very basic things to kind of have them engage. She did notice after a month or so, she said, you know what, this teacher, something's not right. She's like, I would definitely fight for a diagnosis. So I did, and at 21 months, he was finally diagnosed. I was one of those moms that probably really freaked out the doctors, the evaluators, the developmental pediatrician, because I actually was happy the day of the diagnosis, because I finally could get all the paperwork I needed to get my son the therapies that he needed, the help that he needed, so that we could advance him. Remember, the sooner that you get them help, the more opportunity and chances you have to have the behaviors improve and change, and really just, especially with my son who is what they call low functioning and nonverbal, just to really tackle those things that they're lacking and hopefully move them forward. And remember, the brain is very pliable at this time, so it's obviously very, very important to go ahead and get them the help they need as soon as possible, no matter how difficult it is. Of course, I did not throw a party when I found out that he had autism. What I did was I just went straight to the source of everything I had to do. I made every call, every appointment. Soon enough, I had 25 hours or so a week of therapies, some in my home, some outside my home. And of course, I couldn't work. My mom was coming in to help me with the kids so that I can do all these other things that I had to do for my son, Connor. Did I cry? Yeah, I cried a lot. But then I had this whole thing, well, if he talks by 5, you're good. And he's only 2. And by the time he's 5, he should talk, blah, blah, blah. And, I had all these expectations and all these hopes and dreams about my son. So I never really gave up on my son. I actually thought that he would eventually talk. And even though today he's about to be 11 and still nonverbal, I have a lot of hope that with this iPad and the communication devices that they have now, not just my son, but other kids like him will be able to communicate. And he does. He asks for some things, maybe not as good as I would like him to, but we're working on it every day, and every day gets better. And plus, you get to know your kid, so you kind of know sometimes what it is that they want. Otherwise, you just have to kind of figure it out. But it's working. So if it works, just don't question it, just go for it. So when my son Connor was about 4 years old, I decided, you know what, I want to do something. I want to help other moms, and I feel like I've handled this pretty well. Not that I didn't have my breakdowns, of course, but I felt like I handled it pretty well. So I thought, I want to help other moms. Let me go maybe back to school and become a psychologist or psychiatrist. And then I realized, well, that's a lot of years more. So instead, I went and got myself a certification for life coaching through IPEC in New York City, and began a course of about 8 months to become certified. And it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. I started coaching just typical women. I just wanted to coach people, get some, experience under my belt, hone my skills, and then go ahead and really go for my target market, which was autism moms. Of course, I understood that with all the expenses that we have as autism families, paying for some life coach sounds insane, because you rather pay for therapy for your kid, extra speech or extra whatever, physical therapy. You don't want to spend on yourself, which is one of the issues that we have to tackle, is taking care of ourselves. So I began coaching moms for free at no cost. Very, very rewarding. I met a ton of moms. So right now we're 6 years in, and I do a lot less coaching because I also decided to take my own advice, and that is to take care of myself and pursue things that will bring me joy. I decided I was going to start a food blog. I did that. I'm doing that still. I'm going into food photography. So I really wanted to do things for myself. I taught myself to do everything. So that makes me really, really happy and full. And that's what I want for other moms. I want you all to find that place within yourself where you find happiness and fulfillment, where your life is not all about your family and your kids. You can do it all. You just have to know how to do it, and how to give every single person in your life and every single situation in your life its place. So Bella Vida for Autism Mothers, this YouTube channel is going to be for us to explore what it is to be mothers of kids with autism. As we know, we all have kids in different parts of the spectrum. Mine is considered low functioning, nonverbal, although I think he's super smart and he shows it to me every day. And then we have other children who speak, who go to school, who are mainstreamed, who will go to college, who will get married, but have maybe social issues. And, you know, those are all things that no matter what, even if mine seems huge compared to the high functioning child, it's still a big burden sometimes for moms, because a lot of the times we are the ones taking on everything. The dads a lot of the time work, and a lot of the time the mom stays home, or a lot of times relationships fail. Marriages break up. The stress of having a child with a disability, whether it's a big one or a small one, can really cause chaos in a marriage, and not just marriages, but relationships with family and friends. So these are all topics that we're going to be tackling on this channel. Most of the time you will have me with another mom, whether it's, you know, on the computer and, you know, 2 screens, split screen, or whether they're sitting on this couch or at their house. I want to make sure that I bring to you all kinds of moms, and all of them having different issues and situations that they want to discuss, advice that they want to give. And of course, you feel free to go ahead in the comments and say, hey, I want to be part of this too. And I will have you on. We'll pick a topic, or we'll just share your story, because everyone learns from somebody else. It doesn't have to be a story of, oh, my life is horrible, how do I fix this? Or this is really difficult. It could be, this is how I got my life back. And my life is not just about autism. My life is about my family and how I deal with everything, and how our whole family is dealing with this diagnosis. So that's it. This is my introduction to you guys. Again, I am Belqui. I will share some pictures at the end of this of my son, and also maybe a couple other things. I have to decide what I'm going to share, but you know, I'm going to be pretty raw. I'm going to share real things that are, you know, probably triggering to some and difficult for others to see, or maybe something that they've never even seen or can relate to. But I think that's the whole point. We're all going to learn from each other and support each other. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Dance, Connor. Come on, dance, baby. Okay. Sit down. You want to hug mama? Okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, baby. It's fine. You're good. I know. You're okay.